Welcome to the Nat Theo podcast, where we explore nature, the Bible, and what both of them show us about our Creator God, who made this wild and wonderful world. I'm your host, Erin Lynham. I'm a certified master naturalist, Bible teacher, and author, and I am so excited to explore God's Word and His created world with you. Listeners, I am thrilled to share today's episode with you because I am going to be telling you some very exciting personal stories of mine in nature. But first, I have something special to share with you. In a minute, I'm going to play a sound recording that comes from my own phone, and I want you to guess what it is that you're hearing. Now, I should warn you that this sound recording might be a little bit alarming, but I promise you, nothing bad is happening, and after I play it, I'll let you know exactly what you are hearing. Again, I recorded this sound on my own phone recently in my own backyard. Are you ready? Do you have any idea what it is that you're hearing? Let me share the story with you. One evening, I was sitting in my living room when I heard what sounded like yelling in my backyard. I got up and I opened the back door, and that sound is what I heard. Now, a few days before that, a neighbor had told me that she saw a mountain lion in her backyard. So immediately I guessed that what I was hearing that night was the mountain lion, and I thought that it was hunting another animal. So I called the Colorado Parks and Wildlife Department to report that there was a mountain lion in our neighborhood. The officer asked me to send him the recording that you just listened to. And do you know what he told me? Nothing is being hunted. And this was not one mountain lion, but two. And they were probably preparing to mate. Can you believe that? I couldn't. Of course, it was a little frightening having two mountain lions right behind my back fence. But it was also incredible to hear something like that. Have you ever had an up-close encounter with a wild animal? I love getting to see and experience lots of God's creatures up close. But as we'll learn today, it's always important that you make sure you are safely and respectfully interacting with God's creatures. Here's our trail map. We are going to look at how God made mountain lions special. We're going to learn what is the difference between a mountain lion, cougar, and puma. We will look at the question, can a mountain lion roar? And we're also going to learn how can you be safe when you are in mountain lion habitat? And finally, how can awareness keep us safe as we follow God? But first, before we begin, I have a trivia question for you. Take a guess, how much does an adult mountain lion weigh? Before we get started, you can download and print a free animal tracking coloring page that goes along with today's episode. You can access that in the show notes or at erinlynham.com/nattheo22. And you can also access a full episode activity guide that dives deeper into mountain lions and their habitat and behaviors when you join the Nat Theo Club. Today's guide also includes a fun animal tracking guide. You can access that in the show notes or at erinlynham.com/nattheo. So why are mountain lions so special? How did God make them unique? Let's look first at where mountain lions live Mountain lions live in several countries, including Canada, Argentina, Venezuela, Colombia, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, and the United States. In fact, long ago, mountain lions lived all across the United States. Can you imagine them where you live? Do you know if they live in your state? Here is a current updated list of states in the U.S. where mountain lions live. Listen closely to see if they are in your state. Mountain lions live in Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Idaho, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oregon, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. Did you hear your country or state? If so, were you aware that mountain lions live there? I will post a link in today's show notes with this list and more information on mountain lion populations in each state if you want to learn more. Although mountain lions once lived all across the United States, when people began settling down and creating homes and neighborhoods and cities, mountain lions moved into the western states and into the mountains. Now they mostly live in places like where I live, in the mountains or foothills of Colorado. In fact, there are somewhere between 3,000 and 7,000 mountain lions in Colorado. That may seem like a big range in numbers, and it's not very exact. And I'll let you know why that is in a few minutes. Even though there are a lot of mountain lions in Colorado, I had never seen one. And that's surprising because my family and I spend a lot of time in the wilderness and in mountain lion habitat. And we have come across lion tracks many times in the snow and mud. Although I had never seen one, I have had several close encounters. One was the encounter I just told you about and played the audio for you when two lions were right behind my back fence. Another encounter was a couple summers ago, again in our neighborhood. Friends were over for a summer bonfire when we heard a mountain lion calling from just down our street. I was also very close to a mountain lion this past spring when we were staying up in the mountains. This was a pretty dangerous situation. We didn't know that there was a mountain lion by the cabin that we were staying in. When we let our dog out to go to the bathroom in the morning, she ran off into the woods and would not come back when we were calling her, which was unusual. When she finally came back, she had a large scratch on her leg. It was pretty deep. My husband then went looking and he found mountain lion tracks around the cabin and where our dog had run off to. We took her right into the vet and they confirmed that it looked like a mountain lion had batted its paw and claws at her. Thankfully, after a quick surgery, she was just fine, and we were very grateful that she had chased the mountain lion away from our cabin. Okay, so you might have noticed that I said I had never seen a mountain lion despite these close encounters. I said had because after writing this lesson and 3 days before I recorded it, I had the most amazing experience. Let me tell you about it. 2 days before the new year, my family and I spent an entire day up in the mountains finding wild animals. We drove around all day long, and here is what we found. We found over 800 elk, over 400 pronghorn, or they're often called antelope, 12 white-tailed deer, and 4 mule deer, 5 moose, 5 coyote, 3 Wilson snipe, and 1 American dipper. Both of those are really cool birds. 6 wild turkey, 4 golden eagles, and 1 bald eagle. As we drove home down the mountain canyon after dark, we were so excited and talking about all the wildlife that we had seen that day. And then as we rounded a corner along the river, An animal shone in our headlights. It was right in the road, and then it quickly ran into the woods, and I yelled, "A fox!" But my husband said, "No, a mountain lion." I couldn't believe it. And in fact, I really wanted to get a better look so I could know for sure. We stopped the car, and my husband shone a light into the woods and found the mountain lion. I looked through our binoculars, and he was sitting at the top of a small hill staring at us. I could see the shape of his body and the ears on his head and the distinct brown coloring and marking on his face. After a minute, the mountain lion got a bit nervous and he ran down the other side of the hill, which happened to lead to the road that we were on. So we quickly and carefully drove around the hill right in time to see the mountain lion run across the road. That's when all of us, including our 4 kids, got to see the entire mountain lion. And listeners, it was so beautiful. So originally at this part in the lesson, I was going to tell you about how I had had these 3 close encounters, but had never seen a mountain lion. But God gave me a special gift right before the new year, which is really neat because do you know what? I have wanted and even prayed to see a mountain lion in the wild since we moved to Colorado 8 years ago. And at the beginning of the year 2023, I told my husband that I really wanted to see one that year. And 2 days before the end of the year, we had the opportunity. There is a good reason that before this week, I had never seen a mountain lion. It's one reason that we don't know whether there are 3,000 or 7,000 in Colorado. This is because mountain lions don't like to be seen. Like many cats, they like to be left alone. Although before this week we had never seen one, we are always very careful when we are in mountain lion habitat. Mountain lions mainly eat large animals like deer, and although they are very dangerous, they rarely attack humans. However, you always need to be aware and prepared when you are in an area that mountain lions live. Here are a few ways that you can help keep yourself safe if you are in mountain lion habitat. First, one of the most important things that will keep you safe is awareness. Do you know what awareness is? It is staying alert and knowing what's going on around you and having knowledge. Know if lions tend to be where you are. Many trails that you can hike on have signs at the beginning that show what animals live in the area, and they will have a warning if mountain lions live there. Second, always hike with at least one adult. Never hike alone in mountain lion habitat. When my family is in the wilderness, we have our 4 kids hike between my husband and me so we know they are safe and close. Third, if you see a mountain lion, do not approach it or run from it. Stay facing the mountain lion and back away slowly. Talk loudly so that the lion knows you are there. You don't want to surprise them. Remember, they really don't want anything to do with us, so they will often run away. Never crouch or bend over, but instead, make yourself look large. If you have a coat or a sweater, raise it high above your arms to make yourself look bigger. It may be scary to imagine being in such a situation, but remember, mountain lion attacks are very rare. We don't need to be afraid, but it is important that we are aware, wise, and prepared. Do you remember I told you about the 3, now 4 encounters or close encounters I have had with mountain lions? Well, those are the encounters I know about. There have likely been more that I don't know about. We already learned that mountain lions like to be left alone. In fact, their nickname is the sneak cat. Mountain lions are actually a cat of many names. They are called mountain lions, cougars, pumas, panthers, and catamounts. Did you know that those are all the same animal? I once had a cat of many names too. He was a house cat that I had as a pet when I was a kid. I named him Max, but his full name was, are you ready for this? Maximilian Maxery Maxie Max Teddy Tiger Trouble Bubble. And you know what is fascinating? A mountain lion has more in common with my old cat Max than he does with a true lion you'd see in Africa or at the zoo. You see, mountain lions are not considered big cats. Now, they are very large, but they are actually considered the largest of the small cat family. Have you ever heard a cat while it's purring? Well, mountain lions can purr too. Although you should definitely never, ever try to hold or pet one. They may act like a pet cat in some ways, but they are definitely wild animals. Another thing that makes mountain lions more like house cats than true lions or tigers is that they cannot roar. Instead, mountain lions can growl or shriek like you heard at the beginning of this episode, and they can also hiss. Do you remember one of the most important things you can do to stay safe in mountain lion habitat? It is being aware or staying alert and having knowledge of the animals in the habitat. Well, just like staying alert in lion habitat and having knowledge of their behavior can keep you safe, the same is true for staying safe while following God. You see, following God is not always safe, and we have an enemy who tries to attack us. The enemy is called Satan in the Bible, and do you have any idea how he tries to attack us? Some of the ways he will try to attack us are making us doubt God's word, or confusing us about what we believe, making us afraid or scared or anxious, making us believe lies, or he will trick us into sinning or doing wrong things. Listen to 1 Peter 5:8. It says, "Stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil or Satan. He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour." Now, it's interesting to note that this verse is probably talking about an African lion and not a mountain lion, because remember, mountain lions cannot roar, and it says he prowls around like a roaring lion. However, we can learn an important lesson here. Satan is always trying to trick, trap, or attack us. But listen carefully to the first words of that verse. Stay alert. Watch out. You know, when we first moved to Colorado, I was pretty scared of mountain lions. However, as I have learned more about them, I am less afraid. I wasn't scared at all the other night when we finally got to see one. I always want to be aware and safe, but I don't have to let my fear keep me from safely hiking and enjoying God's creation. The same is true as we walk through life with God. We don't need to be afraid of Satan's attacks. Instead, we can become aware of his behavior and how he might try to attack. We can learn from God as we read the Bible and pray, and we can stay alert and watch out, knowing that ultimately God protects us. Listen to this powerful truth in James 4:7. So give yourselves completely to God. Stand against the devil or Satan, and he will run from you. From that verse, how do you think we can stay safe? We can give ourselves completely to God, trusting and following him. Listen to 2 Thessalonians 3:3. but the Lord is faithful, and He will give you strength and will protect you from the evil one. What does it mean that God is faithful? He will stay with us, listeners. He goes before us and around us and behind us, always protecting us on every side. So, as you explore God's wild and wonderful world, remember that you do not need to be afraid. Instead, keep learning more about all God's amazing creatures. As you learn about their habitats or where they live and their behaviors, you can stay aware, alert, and safe. And as you walk through life with God, remember that you will face hard and sometimes scary things. Satan will try to trick, trap, and attack you. But you do not need to be afraid. Instead, give yourself completely to God. Remember that God is faithful. He will give you strength and protect you from the evil one. Do you remember our trivia question? How much does an adult mountain lion weigh? Do you have your guess? A female mountain lion normally weighs between 80 to 130 pounds. A male is bigger and weighs more, normally between 110 and 180 pounds. How heavy is that, do you think? Well, it's about the weight of a washing machine that washes your laundry. That's pretty heavy. Here's a challenge for this week. Choose an animal that you want to see in this coming year. Maybe it's an animal local to your area or one in a zoo. Learn about it and its natural habitat where it lives. Go to the library and check out books about that animal and make it your animal of the year to learn all about. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, can you do us a big favor? Please subscribe, rate, and review Nat Theo on Apple Podcasts, and take a moment to share this episode with a nature-loving friend.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more.